Hello everybody, how are you guys? Welcome to our live stream this evening. So if this is the first time that you're tuning in, welcome. Let's go ahead and get into the general love forecast and something that we're going to be doing pretty exciting this evening. If at the end of the forecast we have at least 15 people tuned in, I'm going to go ahead and pick a winner for a Celestial Forecast by Carrie merch. So let's get into some messages. Alright guys, welcome. I hope you're all doing well. Thank you for joining in. And of course, I have a feeling we'll have more people joining in as the live stream continues. So I wanted to tap into the current energy for the collective, whoever is able to, relate to these messages, whether it's something that you're tuned in and watching live or after it's been broadcast and you happen to catch it. Hopefully there's something in the messages that you are able to relate to and something that offers you some assistance regarding either your love life or anything else going on. Alright, so let's do that. And as I mentioned guys, we're going to be doing a merch giveaway here, and at the end of the general part of this live stream, before we get into any personal mini reading requests, we'll go ahead and choose a winner. So we're hoping for that 15 minimum, 15 viewers minimum, so we'll see. Alright, so I'm guided to pull from this particular deck. Let's take a look at the energy and what needs to come through here for the collective. So we're hoping for that 15 minimum. What do we need to know right now? What's the vibe? What's the energy? We have let down, burned, and betrayed. It's kind of small here, so I'll hold it up. So this could be coming through for some of you guys who have been disappointed, certainly in your romantic life, maybe. Especially if they betrayed you, especially if you're dealing with somebody that maybe deceived you somehow. So I don't know if for some of you guys, this could maybe represent a third-party situation. Okay, so we'll see. Let's see how it goes. I also see the solo card, Party of One. If you happen to be single right now, that could be speaking to you. Also because it could be that you're single by choice, especially if you walked away or distanced yourself from somebody that hurt you. It doesn't always have to be infidelity, but that could certainly be the case for some of you guys. Let's see what else. Speaking to you. Also because it could be that you're single by choice, especially if you walked away. Outgrowing patterns and behaviors. Okay, so take it if it makes sense for you personally, but this could also be the person that might have hurt you. If this was a particular pattern of behavior that they had, for example, they could have been in and out of relationships, or maybe they just weren't ready for commitment, so they tended to be in a lot of relationships where they weren't really committed and just wanting to have fun. So that could be something that they've outgrown. Maybe they were the proverbial bachelor or even bachelorette, somebody that didn't really want to settle down. But we'll go ahead and clarify that, of course, with some tarot messages here. So let's see. So that could be something that angels and spirit guides, please, for the collective, what do we need to know? The proverbial bachelor or even bachelorette, somebody that didn't really want to settle down. But we'll go ahead and clarify another card, some tarot messages here. So let's see. Contemplating. Somebody contemplating making a move. I'm just picking up the energy for some of you guys. It could be an ex-partner, somebody that you used to be with. Part of that move might be the fact that they are reaching out either to apologize or maybe try to feel out the situation to see if you would even be open to speaking to them or maybe reconnecting. Let me grab, I'm guided to pull one more from this deck. Either to apologize or maybe try to feel out the situation to see if you would even be prisoner to addictions. Okay. Speaking to them, or maybe you could be dealing with somebody that has a very addictive behavior, and I just got this right now that you could also be dealing with somebody that could have a very obsessive type way of interacting with people or even with you. Part of that addictive or obsessive behavior, it's kind of picking up off of that devil card from the tarot. Just see if that actually comes through once I start pulling these cards here. So if that's the case, they could have maybe an unhealthy attachment to you, especially if you guys are at a distance from one another and you're not speaking to each other. This person, I'm kind of feeling, maybe they're stalking your social media pages. That could be the case too. Alright, let's see. Well, whoever this is, guys, they've got a lot of regret over what happened. You know, let down, burned, and betrayed. So if they did this, if they hurt you, and again, it doesn't have to be infidelity. Somebody can hurt somebody else in so many different ways. So this right here represents a missed chance. So maybe they're solo and single, feeling the fact that, you know, at one point in time you guys had a real opportunity at love and they blew it. I'm kind of feeling that vibe here. They blew it. They had something really nice and a lot of promise in the relationship between the two of you, and somehow or other they mess things up. I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, if a tower card pops up. Let's see. They blew it. I'm kind of feeling that vibe here. They blew it. They had we have the Judgment card. Very interesting. We've got the Five of Pentacles. What I'm feeling from this person coming through for you, if this makes sense for your life and situation, they want to communicate. Let's see. They definitely want to communicate in the 3D. You might be feeling some downloads for yourself, especially if they're communicating with you either telepathically or even in your dreams, or, you know, there are particular feelings that you're suddenly getting. Maybe you're thinking about them more than usual. That's because they're thinking a lot about you lately. And during this time apart, I'm really getting that their life hasn't been that great, you know, especially when it comes to their romantic choices, their romantic connections. You know, if there was a third party situation, I'm just kind of feeling that that's no longer happening, and now they regret it, that they messed things up with you, especially when it comes to their romantic choices. I'm telling you, look at this, Nine of Pentacles. We've got that solo card. Nine of Pentacles is a very solo energy. So now here they are, baby, feeling lonely that they're not with you, thinking a lot about you. They mess things up with you, spending time on their own, really, with their own regrets, their own thoughts. Look at that, we've got the Eight of Cups. So one of you walked away. Maybe you walked away from them, especially once you either discovered something that they were doing, because going back to the very first card, they let you down, more than likely. I'm also getting, for some of you guys, that maybe this person turned to drinking, or that was just a natural behavior for them. Maybe they would drown their sorrows, especially when they were thinking about you and how things played out. They let you down. If you did walk away from this person, I mean, these addictions right here, it could be a literal addiction, whether it was drug addiction, alcoholism, whatever the case might be. Yeah, somebody distanced themselves here. Okay, what else? What else do we need to know? I mean, these addictions right here. Not surprising, Seven of Swords. We see the deceit, the lies. We started off again with the letdown card. Okay, so it can be the case for some of you that this might have been a third party, or you found out that they were cheating. Again, if it wasn't that, then they just weren't being open and honest with you. Surprising, Seven of Swords. So they were deceptive somehow. Again with the letdown card. This is what was needed, you know, that element of teamwork, being able to do things together, have the same vision for the relationship to move forward. But I kind of feel like there was somebody here that dropped the ball. And then we've got the Lover's card. Some of you guys could be Gemini, you could be thinking of a Gemini. Maybe at one point in time you really felt this strong soulmate bond to them. For some of you guys, it could even be a twin flame reference. But somebody made choices here that maybe they just weren't acting from a place of integrity, and they deceived you somehow. Maybe at one point in time you really felt this. But I do feel for some of you guys anyway, it could have been a third party element there. But somebody made choices here because at one point in time you guys had some pretty intense chemistry, and physically it was off the charts intense. The attraction is there for real. Okay, grab one more. But yeah, we've got the Seven of Cups letting us know that they entertained other options, making some poor choices. I'm kind of feeling that for somebody. So let's go ahead and grab some additional cards and see what else we can find out. But that's the opening message that I'm getting there. Other options. Alright, let's see. Making some poor choices. I forgot to mention, if you guys have any questions while I'm doing my readings, especially if you're wanting a mini reading for yourself this evening, feel free to go ahead and put that in the chat. My daughter Cameron is our moderator. She'll be more than happy to help you out, alright? I forgot to mention, if you guys have any questions here we go. While I'm doing my what else? What other scenarios? Mini reading for yourself. Look at that, we've got the Tyrant card. So you might have seen me use this card a lot, which lately, especially on my YouTube channel, even on Instagram, it's got two messages, upright and reverse, just like a tarot. So it's in the upright representing somebody who was a tyrant, so it could have been an abusive partner, overbearing, heavy-handed, power-hungry, and they could have had a bad temper. So take that if it makes sense. That could have been one of the reasons why you decided to detach, or why you decided to maybe walk away from this person. Let's see what other scenarios come through here. Manipulator, controlling partner. Look at this. We've got two messages, guys, popping up as an abusive partner. Manipulative, temper tantrums, bad temper, especially when they don't get their way. Manipulator. That's interesting. I don't know who that's for, but it's popping up, okay? So let's grab another scenario. They could have been very controlling, overbearing. You know, it's almost like they wanted to call the shots. They wanted to have the last word in a conversation. And then we have shadow kisses here. No PDA, private couple, no social media relationship status. So this person, they could have been very private because they were doing some shady stuff, you know, which we have kind of seen. So maybe they barely posted on IG or on their social media platforms just to keep things on the down low. That was one thing that they wanted to control, what people saw, you know. This is the next message. Look at this. So we do have the Gigolo card coming up. So somebody who was a player, somebody who was uncommitted, somebody who had multiple partners, or certainly somebody that had, where's that card, multiple choice, right? Too many options, too many choices. So it seems to be coming through from, on behalf of the divine masculine energy. That's what's presenting itself here. So let's grab some tarot here to clarify that. So obviously, if you don't relate to an abusive partner, you don't take that part of the message, but I do feel somebody was overbearing, you know, a little bit heavy-handed with letting the other person know what they wanted without really giving the other person a chance to put in their 2 cents. Okay, let's see. But I do feel somebody was overbearing. What do we need to know here? You know, a little bit heavy-handed with letting the other Queen of Wands. Okay, well, I'm really happy to see that energy for my feminines. Look at the next card here, guys. We've got the Knight of Wands. Could have been an age gap between you and this person. Maybe the way I'm seeing it here, it's maybe a more mature, older feminine, and maybe the masculine was the immature, younger one. It seems to me that we might have had a person here who really didn't want to settle down at one point in time. Definitely engaging with other people. They were talking to more than one person, or it could have even been more than a third-party situation. And I'm feeling here, Divine Feminine, if you're coming in as the Queen of Wands, you did what was necessary in order to get yourself out of this situation. Some of you guys could have already had a family, maybe children, could have been married. For those that relate to the third-party situation, Knight of Wands can sometimes be looked at as the player of the tarot. You know, certainly non-committal. It could have been a very passionate connection at one point in time, but they're just not one to stick around, you know? They want to have their fun. They were definitely juggling. Look at that, Two of Pentacles. Wanted to keep things private. They didn't want that out there, you know? They didn't want to put that out there for people to know what it was that they were actually juggling. And then we've got the Five of Swords. How interesting. So it seems to be this masculine, divine masculine jiggling energy where they created these conflicts, you know, and part of that energy is that they could have been shady, they could have been messing around, they created conflict. So there was some tension in the partnership here, more than likely because it was either discovered that they were messing around or they were just playing around. Divine feminine, it could have been that they were playing with your affections, that maybe they just weren't serious perhaps. But, you know, again, if you're coming in with that queen energy, you weren't going to stick around and just take it, you know. More than likely you let them go. And look at that, we've got the Two of Swords. So if you relate to what's come out so far, it seems that it's stagnant because of something that a masculine did, and it seems to be coming through as infidelity for some of you. If it's not that, then they definitely did something to create a situation where it's just stuck, it's not moving anymore. Bottom of the deck, we've got the Ten of Swords. And then remember, going back to what we saw earlier, the very first card was this: let down, burned, and betrayed. So maybe, my feminines, you feel like your masculine backstabbed you somehow, certainly deceived you, and that's not a nice thing to go through. Alright, so let's try to switch things up and see if anything else pops up, because these two messages seem to be focused on infidelity, or certainly somebody who betrayed your trust, perhaps, you know? That's not a nice thing to go through. Alright, so let's try to switch. And if you're tuned in for the very first time, thank you for being here. We appreciate it so much. If you haven't already subscribed, we hope you enjoy the content, and do subscribe. We love that. And again, anybody who wants a mini reading afterwards, I'd love to do that for you as well. Angels and spirit guides, please, for the collective, what do we need to know when it comes to love, romance, connections? And again, anybody who will it follow these messages, or will something else come through? Let's see. Angels and spirit guides, please, for the what is up? Look! Whoa, guys! Control issues! Where's that card? Look at this. Do you see that? Two completely different decks, and we've got something really similar popping up. Power struggle. Abusive. Guys, I don't know who this is for, but can't ignore that one. Intense jealousy. So maybe you had an intense relationship, certainly, but a partner who was the jealous type. That could be flattering for like 2 seconds, and then it's just annoying. You know, when somebody is jealous, you know, you might not even be doing nothing or talking to anybody with some shady intentions, and they're just like maybe somebody that accused you of doing stuff. That could be flattering for like 2 seconds. Interesting how we have loyalty right here. Wow. You know, you might not even be doing nothing. Or unbelievable. Faithfulness, committed, devoted partner. Maybe somebody that accused you of doing stuff. If it's resonating for you, I just feel that there was somebody here who was insecure. And, you know, maybe there wasn't anything going on, but they suspected it, or it could be the other way around. Maybe you suspected them of doing some stuff,
accuse you of doing stuff.
Wow, guys, look. Remember when I mentioned the obsessive part of their relationship? That's interesting. Fixation, stalker, desire, delusion. I can't help but feel that for some of you guys, this might be an ex-partner who's still stalking your social media pages, maybe. Maybe they're still interested in you, but if you broke things off, maybe they do feel like things are out of control. They can't control you. You know? Wow. For some of you guys, this might be an ex-partner. Interesting. Yes. Yeah. Oh, so let me explain the giveaway this evening, guys. If we have at least 15 people watching at the end of the general love forecast part, like right now I see 10 people tuned in. We need 15 minimum, and then I'll go ahead and choose one person to receive Celestial Forecast by Carrie merchandise. Okay, so hopefully we can reach that. I'll choose one person to give something away for, and then go, you know, whoever I choose, just go ahead and put that down below in the comment, like your email address where we can send the information for you to contact us. Alright, let me grab another. But that's interesting, because there's something about someone who's abusive, somebody who has control issues. There could have been loyalty issues in the relationship. If you happen to be Divine Feminine and you broke up with somebody because of that, or you broke up with someone, there's somebody coming through here letting us know that they can't stop thinking about you. They're obsessed. It's like an addictive behavior for them to keep thinking about you. There's something about you that they're still very attracted to, but I'm telling you, there's something about the messages coming through here this evening, and I'm not gonna even try to manipulate these cards. This is how it's coming through. Betrayal. I'm telling you, somebody was backstabbed, somebody was deceptive, somebody was unfaithful. Jeez Louise. Okay, I was gonna try to switch up the energy, but angel guides have a different plan, so we gotta follow that. That is crazy, guys. Somebody was deceptive. Okay. Somebody was unfaithful. Let's grab some tarot. Okay, I was gonna try to switch up the energy, but Wolfie Baby Doll, thank you so much for sharing. Appreciate that. So we gotta follow that. That is crazy, guys. Let's grab some tarot. But man, talk about a message that's just screaming out loudly, confirmed 3 times basically. We've got the Ace of Wands, okay, so that's followed by the Ten of Swords. But man, takes that card. A message that's just screaming out loudly, confirmed 3 times. Somebody was backstabbed, guys. Somebody's heart was broken because of something that happened. More than likely, it was some sneaky stuff. Deceptive, manipulative. That's not a nice feeling. Failure, collapse, a painful ending. But I'm telling you, whoever created this situation, they regret it. They regret it big time. Big time. I can't even tell you how much they regret it. It's a lot. Failure, collapse. I'm telling you, whoever created this 9 of Swords, okay. They regret it. Followed by the Empress. So Divine Feminine, you've got a masculine here. Ex-partner, somebody from your past, whether recent or a long time ago, that did you wrong, and now, I don't know, it's just coming through for this person. They're obsessed about wanting to either be with you, wanting to fix something, wanting to communicate. 9 of Swords, insomnia, nightmares, hopelessness. They want that, but they're not sure they can get it. So this could be keeping them up at night, wondering, you know, what can I do about this? And this is somebody, baby Divine Feminine, that either you guys are married, you guys could have had children, or they see you now as the type of person that they would love to have those experiences with. Maybe you guys talked about marriage at one point in time, but maybe it didn't happen as well, you know? Either you guys are married, you guys could have what else? Let's see, what else? they see you now as the type of person that they would love to have those experiences with. Maybe you guys talked about marriage at one point. Angels and spirit guides, please. But maybe it didn't happen as well, you know? You probably let this person go, Divine Feminine, okay? And that was a good decision because it really allowed you to focus on yourself, focus on your life, to be able to start creating change for the better. And I feel we might have a masculine here who didn't expect you to do that. Okay, you know, and maybe they always took the lead in the relationship, but the moment you decided to take the lead in your own life, it's almost like, what? They couldn't handle that. And so that might have created maybe a tower moment in the relationship. Let's see if that comes through there. Maybe they always took the lead in the relationship at the moment. So interesting the way it's presenting itself. It's almost like, what? Abusive, controlling partner, addictive, creative, obsessive, manipulative relationship. Let's see if that comes through there. This could be where you're at, which I hope this is where you're at. You know, maybe things are better for you at this point. You've had to work to get to this point where life is good. You know, victory, success, self-confidence, all of those things take time to be able to achieve that, especially after somebody hurts us in the way that we're seeing here, right? Look at this, Judgment card again. So this is someone from your past who may resurface, guys, whether you want them to or not. You know, they could pop up. Either they reach out to you maybe on social media, or they could text you, they might call you, they might drop by wherever it is you are. And this is somebody who wants to fix things between the two of you. You know, they've had time to think, they've had time to really learn the lesson behind their actions. Why we're seeing 10 of Swords, that's crucial because it's telling us that they really hurt you. This isn't just, not that any heartbreak feels good, but this one was intensely painful. That is what I'm getting here. Why we're seeing 10 of Swords, that's crucial because it's telling us that they really followed by the Fool. This person, they've had time to think, they've had a lot of time on their hands to be able to evaluate the direction that they feel they want to go, the type of future that they would want to manifest, right? So I feel if they could, if it's even possible, they would want to start again. And their happiness lies with you. And maybe they're just not in a good place now since you guys are apart. That's just the vibe, that's the energy that's coming through here. If it's even possible, they would want to start. Four of Cups, I believe we saw that earlier too. You know, disconnectedness. Maybe you decided to finally disconnect after having been hurt by this person. But it's also telling us that they have a lot of regret here, or the fact that they really almost created a tower moment. I don't see it here, but I feel you guys have experienced something of that magnitude, and now maybe it's too late to even try to win you back, but I still feel that there's somebody here who wants to be able to connect, to reach out. Sometimes the Judgment card can represent an apology. You know, maybe it's that simple. If you guys don't end up getting back together, it could be something as simple as, you know what, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for how things played out. I'm sorry for how I treated you. Okay? Sometimes the Judgment card can represent an apology. And this is their vibe. Five of Cups. They're not in a good place, you know? It's like grieving the loss of something that they created, you know? Feeling lonely. I feel this person could have had issues going into the relationship without having healed that. And so, during this time apart, they've had to kind of focus on that. It's nobody else's job to heal that. They needed to do that on their own, but it hasn't been easy, you know. Could have had issues going into the relationship. Then bottom of the deck, we've got the Four of Wands, and so they want that reunion, guys, and here it is. Here's our tower. I actually like that these two cards are falling next to each other because the tower represents the lost foundation. Whatever it was you guys were building at one point in time, it fell apart. You know, it's grounded, and there's only one way to go, which is up. So, Four of Wands representing building that foundation, to be able to create that foundation where you guys are on stable ground, and perhaps that is what it is that they're wanting, but they're also wondering, is it too late? Can this even happen, like in real life, or is this just wishful thinking? But they do want you back. That's what we're seeing here. You know, you might be thinking, well, I'm not sure. I'm not sure I want them back. Especially if they ended up really breaking your heart, you know? Alright guys, so let's go ahead and grab one more set here. One more set of cards. Let's see what else we can bring forward. Especially if they ended up really breaking your heart, you know? Angels and spirit guides, please, for the collective. Grab one more set here. What do we need to know? One more set of cards. Let's see. For the collective, what's this final message that we need to know for this general love forecast? Angels and spirit guides, please, for the collective. Healing. It is so needed. What do we need? You know, you experience things like this, that type of betrayal, and then that tower. We need to know for this general. You need that. You need to be able to bring things back into balance, and I feel if you've worked really hard to do that for yourself, then that's great. And I'm also feeling that the other person hopefully has had to focus on that too, and maybe again they're working on being in a better place in their life. Look at the next card here, guys. We've got a twin flame connection coming through. Then that's great. So if you are, let's just say, that the other person in separation from your twin, maybe they had to learn a lesson in the meantime before a reunion can happen. Look at the next card here, guys. Clarification of the separation. Then that's great. So if you again, clarification that something came to an end. However, maybe they feel like you really do hold the key to a possible fresh start, a new beginning, you know, or is this chapter really done? You know, interesting how we've got cycles coming up next. So one cycle clearly came to an end here, and they're wondering, you know, is it possible for a new cycle to begin between us? Let's see, okay? Let's go ahead and clarify that and see if it is possible. So for this one, I'm just guided to use my modern day seers, tarot, and oracle. So for those of you who are not familiar with this, it's just like any other tarot deck, but I've also added additional oracle messages and additional card cards. So let's see how that plays out here. For this one, I'm just guided to use my modern angels and spirit guides, please. So for those of you who are not familiar with this, what do we need to know? Tarot deck, but I've also added additional oracle messages and additional card cards. So we have the crystal of earth. Maybe the person you're focused on is an earth sign. Okay, so they could be Virgo, Capricorn, or Taurus, or that could be you. So let's read through this. It's time to get your head out of the clouds and focus on what's happening around you. Okay. Be careful what you're investing your energies in. Don't chase fool's gold. You're the real deal. What you're looking for is someone who recognizes your worth and the brightness that exudes within you. Don't settle for anything less than what you're worth. I kind of feel this is speaking to the feminines. You know, you had to discover your worth in order to maybe break free from a relationship that just wasn't good. So let's see what else. Oh my god, wow guys, here we go again, Ten of Swords. So I like this combination because it's telling us that you removed yourself from a situation where somebody betrayed you, where somebody hurt you, they backstabbed you, okay? Maybe you didn't see it coming. It could have been out of the blue. But it blows my mind that we should have seen this card 3 times this evening. 3 times. And I love how we've got the 6 of Swords right after it, because this is a way calmer energy compared to the Tower, okay, and certainly the Ten of Swords, and it's reiterating the fact that there is this need to heal from the situation. It's time to move on, right? Leave something behind because it either wasn't checking all the boxes,
and certainly the Ten of Swords,
you know?
And
I don't get it.
the fact that there is this
But somebody,
to heal.
I feel they have a better understanding of what's going on. Oh, that background sound, that's my fan. Because it's freaking hot over here. So, that's what you're hearing. Sorry about that. But yeah, without it, I'd be burning up in here.
I feel they have a better understanding.
Alright, let's see what else. So yeah, something needed to transition away from what happened between the two of you. Alright, we also have Archangel Michael coming through here. For some of you guys, maybe your person's name is Michael. I am your warrior angel to help you fight your fears when it comes to manifesting your dreams and finding love. Countless romantic connections turn into missed opportunities. There's that missed opportunity reference again, because we allow our fears to create barriers. I'm here to help you overcome these challenges. I can offer you the guidance you seek as well as the strength and bravery to act on that guidance. Bravery isn't the absence of fear, but the ability to act in spite of it. So if you're struggling with your nerves to pursue your love interest, call on me. And who knows, maybe the person that's thinking about you, that's what they need, But you are the person that's tuned in and watching this reading, so maybe there's something here as well that you needed and why Archangel Michael is coming through in this reading. Let's grab another.
And who knows, maybe the person that's thinking about you,
and the same theme keeps popping up. Seven of Swords. Somebody who lied, somebody who cheated, betrayed, deception, Very, very prominent this evening. So whoever happens to run across this message, and if it really relates to your situation, if you happen to be Divine Feminine, I feel you're in a much better place. You've empowered yourself to remove yourself from a difficult situation. Certainly somebody that didn't respect you or treated you right, and or was just being deceptive, outright cheating, third-party situations, whatever it was. And hopefully you have found the strength within you to remove yourself from something like this and either be content and single until something better can come in, or maybe at this point you're in a much better place. That is what I'm hoping. We also have the redwood tree coming through. I like it. It represents wellness, safety, longevity, wisdom, vitality, survivor, being strong, recognizing your strength, communication. Okay? So what's really resonating with this particular card for me is the fact that you survived something really difficult. Okay, let's just say very hard. And interesting too that we have the safety reference, because if you were in an abusive relationship, I pray you got yourself out of that, which is what this reading is bringing forward. You survived it. You found the strength to remove yourself again from that type of situation.
Interesting too that we have the safety reference, because if you
have Archangel Raphael coming through as well. So this particular card says, I am the angel that heals all wounds. I love that we had the healing card come through first. Are you nursing a broken heart? I am here to assist on your healing journey. I love that. So if you relate to this, there's the assistance. Two archangels coming through in this reading to bless your situation, your healing journey. I'm here to assist on your healing journey. Let me remove the emotional baggage you've been carrying to lighten the burden from past relationships that are weighing you down. Let me help you heal your heart, your mind, your soul, your body. I'm here to aid in restoring your self-confidence, a healthy self-image, and to bring peace back into your life. Because when we experience things like tower moments, and again, we were seeing the Ten of Swords repeatedly this evening, that's anything but peaceful. Alright, let's grab one more card. And we have the Ace of Cups. It comes full circle. Ace of Cups is really focused on the person listening to this reading. It starts with you. If you feel that your cup is empty at this point in time because of what you experienced with somebody that hurt you and broke your heart, then it really does focus on self-love. It focuses on your healing, which we've seen. For you to work on filling that that cup for yourself, because the love has to come from you first for yourself. To be able to fill that cup for you, and then you can extend yourself to somebody who's worthy of that love, what it is that you have to offer. Because it's not their job to be able to fill that cup, it's your job, right? To be able to be content within yourself, so that you can offer and contribute to what a relationship can bring.
Who's worthy of what it is that you have to offer.
I don't know, I said that was the last card, but I'm just guided to one more.
Your job, right?
Let's see.
To be able to be content within yourself.
There's somebody out there who really feels they missed out. They missed out on the chance to be with you.
I don't know. I said that was the last card.
So now they're left with a lot of regret. They're not in a good place mentally, perhaps. They think a lot about you, almost obsessively. We've seen that.
Feels they missed out.
But there's a part of them that really wishes they could still speak to you, apologize, see you in person.
A lot of regret. They're not in a good.
Maybe it's not possible for some of you guys.
They think a lot.
Maybe you don't want that, you know. So it's your own prerogative, of course. It's your life to decide what it is that you want. Especially if somebody has hurt you, you have the choice to not ever let them back in.
Maybe it's not possible for some of you guys.
So I love that we have the Ace of Cups, because it really does represent a new chapter. It represents a new beginning. And it can represent a new love. So if you had to let go of one love situation because it wasn't good, and the universe brought you something better, wonderful. If you have yet to find that, just know that this could certainly be a part of your journey to be able to bring that in. And I just glanced at the next card, and we've got Archangel Sophia, so that's the last one I'm going to get from this one. It does say, I am the angel of love. I can help you manifest a reconciliation with your beloved. So take that only if you want that reconciliation. But this could also be addressing the person that's coming through in this reading. You know, they know that they did something to ruin the partnership, and maybe there's a part of them that really wants that reconciliation, which we've seen. You know, I can assist in efforts towards forgiveness and bring about a mutual understanding between you and your partner. I can show you the way to self-love. Exactly. And in finding the great love of your life, call on me if you are looking to awaken your heart chakra. So I love that that's the final message from this particular general love forecast. So hopefully, you know, there's something in these messages that you were able to relate to, especially if you've experienced, you know, some sort of betrayal in your relationships, and they really did a number on hurting you and breaking your heart. That's a very difficult thing to go through, you know. And so if you happen to run across this message after it's been broadcast, I really do hope that it helps you out. If you are struggling to maybe walk away from a relationship because maybe you feel like, you know, you guys have been together a long time, or you've just gotten comfortable in the partnership, and it just makes it really hard to sometimes walk away. But if you found the strength to do that, fantastic, good for you. You know, because again, that could be really, really hard to do. All right, Cameron Carr. So let's see. I see a few people who wanted readings, but you know, maybe you guys changed your mind. So Kenya, if you're still here, good for you. Okay, so let me see. Is there somebody else? Oh, and then Keisha made a request, but then she retracted it. Okay, I mean, no big deal. You know, it happens. But I am hoping that whoever tunes into that general message, that it helps you guys. That's my number one priority. So it doesn't look like we have any people that are requesting any personal readings this evening. And we'll try to do, well, since I didn't give away any merch this evening, I'll go ahead and do that for the next live stream. I cannot do it next Sunday. Maybe we'll try to do it again on next Saturday, so I'll go ahead and announce that on my Instagram as well as here on YouTube. So if you don't already follow me on Instagram, I'd love it if you do. It's The Celestial Forecast by Carrie over there. And for those of you who might know, I also started a separate channel specifically specifically for abundance, money matters, career readings. So if that's something that you would be interested in, that would be Financial Forecast by Carrie on YouTube as well as on Instagram. So if any of those things interest you, I would love to be able to have you on those platforms and to be able to, join us, especially for any future live streams that we might have. All right, guys, so that's it for tonight. Thank you again for joining us. And on behalf of moderator Cameron and myself, we thank you guys very much. And we will catch you guys on the next one. Take care. All right, guys, so that's it for tonight. Thank you again for joining